Welcome, Michael, to our podcast, and it's great to have you on. Please share with us a little bit about yourself because our audience is learning about you for the first time.
My name is Michael Ballew. For the last, I guess it's like 13 years, I've went from the military service world where I was a naval corpsman up into losing that, going into retirement from the military medically, and then moving on to the corporate world where I had to start from scratch. And because of the type of person I am, I'm a extreme overachiever, really type A personality. I've worked my way up into the biopharma consulting industry, where I help clients like pharmaceutical companies or nonprofits. And soon that job will even change coming in the future, where I'll be working directly with just the nonprofit themselves.
So, Mike, my name is Dan. It's a pleasure to get to know you today, along with our audience, as we ask you questions and you answer them. Where are you located right now?
So currently, I'm located in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Gotcha. So, Ivy and I are both in Northern Virginia, so we're all in the same general area, which is awesome. So, what we're doing today is we're going to be asking you a series of questions. We have one main purpose, which is to help the audience be introduced to people they may not have ever come across in regular life. And in the process of you answering these questions, you'll hopefully give some insight or information that maybe makes them question what they're currently doing or makes them make a new decision or go down a different path, which ultimately leads to them living the best life possible. So let's start with the first question, which is, if I was a genie and not three wishes, but I could grant you just one wish, what would be that wish and why that wish?
So, if you could just grant me one wish overall, the first thing I would wish for is the ability to continuously achieve what I want out of life. And when I say that, the ability to keep starting new challenges, so I can continue to challenge myself on a daily basis. For me personally, the best part about life is continuously challenging myself, regardless of what it is. Um, it could be I'm terrible at music, so I picked up the guitar during COVID. So I want the atmosphere where I can continue to look at new challenges and have the time to do those challenges.
That is a great, great wish. Just somebody with a peak performance mindset wants to achieve more out of life, wants to experience more, and you're already well on your way, which is very inspiring. Who in your life has made the most impact growing up into the person you are today?
So if I was going to go with somebody that I was close to, I would say my grandfather. So my grandfather spent 25 years in the between the U.S. Army and the U.S. Air Force. He actually split tours, went to World War II, Korea, lived a great life, and then came back to a little place called Ackworth, Georgia, probably about 30 minutes outside of Atlanta. And he just taught us how to grow up and be a better person, and also to not ever let anything hold you back. We did not grow up with a massive amount of income. I remember having to go mow lawns and rake leaves just to get my first pair of wrestling shoes. So he taught us how to never stop fighting for what we want, and that, as a child, pushed me so much further in life. I would say, as a number two part, if I was going to choose somebody that's famous that has achieved a lot outside, I would say Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I When I was 13, I read his biography. It's a very short book. It's about 200 pages. But what he did to get where he is in his life is amazing. And the six rules to success that he comes back with, and my favorite is the last one, is whenever you do achieve something, look back and help others achieve that same thing. Give back to people. Uh, Stop listening the way people are saying no to you, because no doesn't mean no. It just means that you might have to take a different route.
In order to help others, obviously, you have to first help yourself, right? So they always give that example of like, put your oxygen mask on first on the plane. So if you could travel back in time and visit your younger self and give yourself advice based on the knowledge and experience you've gained over the years you've now lived, what advice would you give your younger self?
To keep fighting. I lived a big life where I shouldn't have gotten to where I am now based on statistics. So all numbers are against me. Um, got married at a young age, had daughters at a young age. Went into the military, didn't have the best schooling in the world, but I never stopped fighting for any of it. And that same thing, if I could go back and continuously tell myself, continue to fight, I think I'd be even further along in my career. Because there's always ups and downs in careers. You get told no, you don't get the promotion. You have to figure out what you are not doing correctly. Looking back at yourself, taking ownership of what you might not have known or what skill set you might not currently have. Um, and I those things, being able to look back at yourself and take the ownership and continue to fight, would be the two things I tell myself.
I like that because that just says you're very determined and persistent to succeed at anything you do. And by that, you'll find a way to make that happen. Besides the genie wish that we asked earlier, what is another superpower that you wish you had?
If I had a superpower, I would say persuasion. A lot of people want to go and fly or be invisible. The power of persuasion is one of the best powers in the world. Being able to stand up in front of the boardroom and persuade people to go with your idea, if it is a good idea, or persuade people to fall within that plan that you've already planned out, is very valuable. I feel like I've built up a pretty good amount of persuasion with people, but my persuasion comes from because I've done the job, and they know that I won't tell them to do anything that I haven't done myself. So the power of persuasion is probably the best power for the world we currently live in.
And I appreciate that because I do a sales training where a big part of sales is obviously influence, persuasion. So I really appreciate that. But let's say you're in the military, you were in the military and you became a prisoner of war. So as a prisoner of war, the country that imprisoned you was nice enough to say you get one book to keep with you while you're a prisoner. What would be that one book you'd keep with you, and why that book?
The Dichotomy of Leadership. It's a book that I've read and I give to every mentee I've ever had underneath me. Uh, it's something that's got me through the toughest times of my leadership career. Uh, Being able to understand there's a balance to leadership. It's just not barking orders. It's understanding when you need to take ownership yourself, when you need to protect your guys, when you need to put a little pressure on your guys to let them have some personal growth. When you say, "Hey, I'm going to give you a project," and you might not accomplish it. You might fail. There's a higher chance of you failing, but then they pull it off. The Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink has helped me a lot in my career, and that's probably my favorite book of all times. Uh, Only second to Discipline Equals Freedom.
I love Yako. He is so inspiring. Can you I so the audience does not know this. I'm aware that you've had personal experience serving under him. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it was like serving under him?
So for guys like Jocko Willink, I served I was such a low rank, um, but the guy exudes just straight up leadership. He's had his failures. The coolest thing about the guys out there like Tim Kennedy, Jocko Willink, Leaf Babin, they had a lot of failures coming through the ranks. Um, but those failures, they learned from all of them, and that's the number one thing you want out of your best leaders is to learn from your failures. And you can tell, like the decisions they make, uh, they have people's lives in their hands. So every decision they make is extremely important. And those guys, it, it's when you're around them, you can tell why they are in the position they're in. If you ever get a chance to go watch any of Jocko's like stand up stuff for Echelon Front or any of his talks on leadership, you can tell within the first 5 minutes that this guy loves leadership. He loves to train people on leadership, and he loves to make people successful.
Very recently, about a month ago, I got to work with Echelon Front, one of their guys. You may know who he is. Um, anyway, I'll talk to you offline about him. But he served under Jocko. Were you a Navy SEAL? Did you serve under Jocko as a Navy SEAL?
No, I was actually only attached to his SEAL group. I was a naval corpsman. So what a
Okay,
naval corpsman is a medic, but the Marine Corps doesn't have their own medical units. So we actually serve as the Marine Corps medics. And it's actually little known that the Marine Corps doesn't have its own medical units, but the Marine Corps and the Navy used to be a part of each other. So that's the main reason why we're still the medical units for the Marine Corps, and we get attached. It's more rare nowadays to see any special forces being attached to corpsman groups or battalions, but it still does happen now and then.
gotcha. So throughout your life experience, have you heard advice that you can reflect back on now and kind of warn people about and say, that's advice you shouldn't listen to because it's not really going to help you?
The number one advice I would say is I was told that I was too young. Every step of the way, I am too young to be in the position I'm in. And I've had older managers, even that weren't above me, and I've heard rumors where they're just he's not old enough to be a manager. Um, that's not always the case. I always tell people to kind of let them say whatever they want. You keep pushing forward, regardless of what anybody says. Um, the only thing that's going to stop you is you. So if you stop yourself, they're correct. You aren't ready. But if you keep pushing forward, there's no doubt that you're not ready because you're moving forward and trying to make the best out of any situation you're put
I really like that mindset. Speaking of mindset, can you share with the audience what is a habit that have made you very successful?
in. So for me, I'm a very disciplined person on a daily basis, and I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I head to the gym. I get my workout in. By 7:30, I get back to my apartment. I drink a protein shake. I take a shower. I jump on my laptop, start looking at my emails, looking at what my meetings are coming up, do any meeting prep. I get done with work. I start working on any of my hobbies that I do or any of my other activities because you have 24 hours in a day. Use the best out of them. Get your 8 hours of sleep if you can. If you can't, understand that every day you're not going to be at your best. Um, you shouldn't expect to be at your best. There will be the days that you will be at your best. Use those days, but understand if you're very disciplined, even on those bad days, you'll still get through them by just putting one foot in front of the other, and you'll be successful with it.
So you mentioned hobbies. What are your hobbies? What do you do other than work and work out?
So I I'm I really enjoyed the Book of Five Rings, Miyoto Musashi, um, and because of that, I started looking at the way a warrior should look. The guy had over 300 samurai duels with no losses, but he believed that you should be an artist, you should be a poet, you should be a musician, you should be a an athlete. You should never stop at one thing. So right now, I currently am working on making resin tables, taking old wood and using acrylic resin and making tables. I constantly playing guitar because I'm actually really bad, but it's something I'm very bad at. So I'm continuously challenging myself with it. I'm currently working on some other business opportunities and investment opportunities on a consistent basis. So that's what I'm currently doing.
So one thing that I've never even attempted to, but I really appreciate those resin tables because I rarely use Facebook, but when I go on Facebook, it knows that I clicked on it 1,000 times. I click on those videos where people will make stuff like resin tables, and I'll literally sit there and watch the whole thing. Usually it's hyper speed, right? But I'll sit there and I love to watch somebody start from zero, take a couple pieces of wood and put it in a form and pour the resin and like do all the polishing and all this stuff. I think that stuff's really neat. So I give you a lot of credit for doing something that's outside your comfort zone and learning a cool skill like that. It's really neat.
Awesome. I also just love that you have so much drive and passion to go pursue things that would grow you. Part of like what you shared earlier is to you're high ultra high achiever, and that kind of mindset sets you up to want to achieve more, want to experience the most out of life. In fact, having that mindset, I would say that would you consider yourself an optimist?
I would consider myself balanced. You can't be an optimist all the time. There will be days you're going to be pessimistic. There's going to be days you're optimistic. I try to be more positive than I'm not, but we're human beings, so you're going to have those days where you just feel like everything's going to go terrible. Just understand that those days, if as long as you keep moving forward, pass, and try to be as positive as you can on a daily basis. Even when everybody around you is not being positive, try to relift the room. And sometimes by saying shocking things, unorthodox tactics can break the group from being that pessimistic mentality. And sometimes you have to be the bad guy as a manager. And when you say those uh, unorthodox topics, it'll cause them to really come at you. And then they're going to go, okay, he's giving us this task. Now we got to achieve it, even if it's in spite of me.
What would be your best advice to the audience to help them live their best life? And I know it's different for everybody, but what would be your 2 cents for that?
Figure out what makes you happy. Not everybody wants to be an overachiever. Not everybody wants to be a CEO or a VP or in the corporate world. Some people want to own businesses. Some people want to be just have a normal job and have their own hobbies. Whatever you figure out what you have passion in, go for it. Even if you have to, and I'm not saying quit your job or anything like that. What I'm saying is look at what you're really passionate about. Look at what how you can utilize that to maybe make your some income or make yourself happy, and do it. Because if not, we only get one life. So you have to focus on those things. Be passionate about something.
I love passion, and I do live that way in my own way. Last question. This has to do with it's related to passion, but it's how did you discover your purpose and are you living it now?
I accidentally found my purpose. It's not like I was out searching. I was searching for what I wanted to do, but I got lucky while going through a lot of no's, where I consider I use an acronym called luck, labor under the correct knowledge. So I worked my butt off, even though I was getting a lot of no's, and I just fell into the perfect job at the perfect time. During that period of time, I met my best friend. I I was able to get promoted 4 times within a span of 4 years. I was able to mentor and grow other people. I think I had a total of like 10 people promoted just underneath me within that period of 4 years. And they all got good promotions, and they're all looking at their next promotions. Um, I will say that sometimes it's just timing. Understand that you might not get your best job or what you're passionate about the first time you go out there. Just keep fighting for it, and you'll eventually get there.
So we're wrapping this up, but was there a question we didn't ask you, but you'd like to share something that would be helpful to our audience?
I would say we kind of covered everything, but the one thing I would say to your audience as a whole, you want to live your best life. If you want to feel accomplished, you want to make sure you continuously challenge yourself. Use the hours of the day. Don't sit back on your and say, "Oh, push that tomorrow." Tomorrow will come, but if you did it today and you started today, tomorrow will be another step for you. Stop saying tomorrow. Say today. I'm just going to do it right now.
That's how you overcome resistance and push yourself forward. I love it. Thank you so much, Mike, for your time. It was an honor to have you on our podcast, and we loved your share.
No, thank both of you for having me on. It's an amazing experience, and thank you for letting me share a little small snippet of my story of achieving success. And I can truly say being 32 right now, I'm currently living my best life.